String Tavern, a very bittersweet episode 64, as this is the last 10 String Tavern numbered episode we will film here. Because we're moving. We're moving to bigger and greener pastures thanks to Rich Investments Group. Look out for RIG Studios on the horizon very, very soon. A lot faster than I could ever guess, but that's how your business works.
That's how we do.
All gas, baby.
Yeah.
All gas.
Gas pedal, no brakes.
Yep. We just do guardrails now. So we have nice guardrails, but it's all gas.
We're the equivalent of the bumper lanes in a bowling alley. Like,
right.
You're just chucking the ball as fast as you can go, and hoping you knock everything down.
Jordan Murry, Eric Richards back in the studio again. It's been a long time. A long time.
I'm excited. I'm excited to be back here. Every time I've been in this room, we've had a good time.
Oh yeah, off camera when there was nothing set up, just watching UFC fights.
Yep. Old fashions.
Yes. Yeah. Old fashions with good whiskey. It's 10 a.m. on a Sunday, or I'd start making some with bullet bourbon.
There you go. You won't hear me complain.
So yesterday we had we checked out a property mid flip up in Elm Grove, and I'm really excited because now that is a house that I took pictures of before and mid flip, so I can do like a little montage, like before and after. Yep. And I wanted to give a quick shout out to the guys at the Tilted Toilet who were doing work on them.
Yeah,
did excellent work.
Incredible partners in business with us. Built both businesses from the ground up. It went from a two-man show for them to where I think they're at 12 employees now and growing, and we're looking at adding 2 or 3 more over the next month. We went from doing one flip every 2 months to where now we're doing 2 to 3 a month now with them, which has allowed us to grow and scale and do things that we didn't think were possible, but it also allowed them to solidify what they do and really highlight their benefits. So the guys and gals over at Tilted Toilet are awesome.
No, they're a jack of all trades, right? They're not just plumbing, which you assume.
No, they do everything.
Yep.
That's nice. And is there any other, I know you have your own crews under the business, but do you have any other affiliates that you work for, any other businesses that you
We have
give
a couple third parties that we dabble in, but we're always looking for more, especially specialized trades, roofing, electrical, those sort of things, to be able to kind of fit in where we can get a lot of the local people to jump in and stuff like that. It's really
always like stuff like that. We're always looking for people that you want to fine tune your craft.
Yeah.
Like whatever it is, like those are the types of people that we want. That you have a trade, you're good at it, but you want to excel at it. Like those are the people that we want to enable and put them into positions to almost showcase your creativity on our houses and use us to prop up your own skills.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I wanted to bring up early in this interview, so a lot of people see it, is there's job openings.
Yeah.
There's opportunities right now for people if they want to get into this line of work, which is real estate development. What would be just the top couple jobs that you guys are looking to fill? I know it's like construction, maintenance.
A construction manager first and foremost. So somebody that has a background in construction, understands how to keep schedules, how to keep budgets, how to line out scopes of work and be able to move projects forward. We have a huge opportunity for somebody that kind of fits that bill to come in and do it. I currently do that role as well as like 19 other roles. So to be able to come in on a very quick growing company, like I said, we went from doing one every 6 weeks, so we're doing 2 or 3. Our goal by the end of the year is 5 to 6 flips a month. We have a rental portfolio of 70-something doors now. Our goal by the end of the year is to be at 200. So having somebody in that construction manager role that can come in, understand that we're fast-paced, understand that there's a lot of growth, a lot of movement, a lot of things, and as we grow, they grow with us. You know what I mean? The opportunities, the responsibility, the money they can make, all of that goes hand in hand with how they grow with us. Our construction managers, just compensation-wise, is a salary position with commission. So whatever we're making off of our flips or whatever we're making off as we add our rentals and stuff like that, they're getting pieces of that as we go and grow. So it would be, for the right person, it could be a very lucrative position and help us establish and build what we want to build.
Did you guys anticipate the growth so far? What has it been? 3 years?
I started this 3 years ago.
3 years ago?
Yeah.
How's this? How's the growth compared to what your expectations were when you started?
Night and day difference. I mean, when I started this, I essentially started this to make $43,000 a year. I came from construction and worked through the unions, and for me to work through the unions, I traveled all the time and was gone. The reason I started this and started to do this was I needed to be home with my wife and kids.
Yeah.
And for us to be able to pay our bills and make ends meet, I needed to make 43 grand a year to supplement what my wife's salary was, so we can, feel comfortable and be able to
Right.
to get by. To go from only needing to make $40,000 a year to now we have, like, with our affiliates and everybody that works with us and stuff like that, probably 25 or 30 employees, and like we're venturing out in so many different spaces now that we're growing this, that I never would have imagined this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
So
With a nice HQ that is not a park and ride.
that is
Not a
not,
park and ride.
no,
It is not a park and ride.
How many cars do you get a day? Do you think
a
average?
dozen.
A dozen.
I went in there yesterday. Somebody parked a giant trailer with hay bales on it because they had a flat tire, and they just left it in our parking lot, drove off. You know what I mean? And I top of the list this year's goals for the company is I'm putting a security gate up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's top of the list.
But do have to shout out DOT.
Yeah,
DOT.
Like, we kind of thought in the beginning, like, is this going to be something that, like, we're, like, constantly...
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, from day one when I was involved, like, they've been awesome. Like, they came out, they were cordial, they were like, hey, this is our job, we got to do this. But, like, I left after community day and then came back and saw, like, the help that they did cutting the trees down, planting grass and all that. And I'm like, how much they charge us?
nothing.
I'm like, oh, love it. love it, love it, love it. Yeah, so they've been awesome. It's cool to, in a sense, work hand in hand with them on a property. And they were super appreciative, too, because when they said on that first day, they're like, we're really glad that you guys are utilizing this. Cause, I mean, it was used for all the wrong things, really.
Right, nothing good happens in a park and ride at 2 a.m.
2 a.m. park and ride just to get on Interstate 70, quick in and off, nothing good ever happened.
Yeah.
The amount of phone calls I got because people's trailers got stolen, and
Really?
I mean, people doing drug deals there. I mean, it was probably the worst case scenario, and the fact that we went in and cleaned it up, and then they helped us, revitalize the road frontage and everything like that. Like, they've absolutely been crucial, being cool with us and appreciative, and it goes both ways.
Because there could have been 1,000 reasons they could have impeded on community day too.
Oh,
the way,
yeah.
the way it's
1,000,000%.
planned. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, huge shout out to Ohio DOT. Like,
Nice.
Yeah.
And planning another community day this summer, right? You got something.
Got something in the works.
Something in the works.
It's a big undertaking.
It is.
So there's the idea of it, is definitely nice, but we get a lot of legwork, so we'll kind of keep it under wraps until we.
It flowed real nice last year. It did. It did. It was very nice put together.
In front of the scenes, yeah. Behind the scenes, man, it's like a duck on the water. Like, super calm on the top, but man, your legs were kicking.
I remember.
Like we were saying, you always want to do more. Like, especially if it's a community thing and, like, you're putting your name on it and it's kind of like the coming out party. It's at least, like, in my mind, you can never do enough. You can never be satisfied with what it is. And I talk to people and they're like, dude, it was awesome. Like, you went above and beyond with the inflatables, and I'm thinking, like, oh, should I got the inflatable that should, like,
right,
And so you always, at least in my opinion, I always think, oh, you could have done this, but I mean, from the feedback I got, everybody loved it.
I was gonna say, when kids don't have any lines to go on multiple
There's
inflatables.
that too. Yeah.
The other thing we would want to do with this community day that we're trying to put together and we're trying to look into is, last year was our coming out party. Last year was, hey, this is us. This is what we're about. This year we would like to start highlighting people that we do business with. Start getting other people's names out there. See how we can not only make it great for the community, but also help the people that we work with and help and grow them as well, and have them be a part of it. What I mean? That's going to be a huge factor in how we do the next one, because ideally we want to do every year something like that. But if we're helping other people get visibility and grow and be a part of it, I think it could be a huge thing for the valley.
Yes. And speaking of helping people and businesses grow in the Valley, RIG Studios.
RIG Studios.
If you're a content creator, business owner, be on the lookout for RIG Studios. Should be up in 1 to 2 weeks. I mean, you guys work so damn fast on that thing.
Yep.
I sent my friend who's in production the first time I walked in till the one we walked through yesterday, and he's like, "How did they get that done so fast?" I'm like, "This is what they do. It's a reno crew. It's not us going in and thinking, yeah, we might need to put a wall somehow up here." It went up fast and it looks good, and
our guys are A1. It's that is I was surprised about it too. You know, like just how quick and efficient, quality of everything. So yeah, we're lucky to have all those guys.
And that's with every flip I've been on too. Like when we do the mid flip pictures, and at the end, it's just the quality work and the speed. It's insane to me.
Yeah.
Kind of setting ourselves apart from everybody. And the beautiful thing about the studio specifically is I wanted to really push to get this thing done as quickly as possible because I see the need for it. There are so many businesses in this area that are shutting their doors because they don't know how to market, or they don't have the money to market, or they don't know how to get their name out there, and people don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Right? This is an opportunity. We're building the studio out for us to have our podcast, and God bless 10 Strings Tavern is coming and
new home for TST.
New home for TST. But for anybody that needs to have visibility, like this is going to be like the cheapest, the easiest. Like you have no work. All you need to do is show up. We're providing everything. We have, the equipment, the location. You're coming in and engineering and able to show them ways that they can cut it up and market it on social media platforms and everything else, to where they would never have been able to get that sort of outlook and visibility. And then you put it in conjunction with what our different podcasts are going to be. We can highlight those in our side as well. So the visibility that we get, you're almost cross-branding it with them to be able to get as many eyeballs on what you do as possible. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's not a one-trick pony. Just because we're a real estate company and we have that, you don't have to have any affiliate with real estate. If you are like the greatest underwater basket weaver in the Valley, people need to know about that. They need to see it, and they need to be able to know, I'm going to go here and help because I need a basket for Mother's Day. You know what I mean? So I think that's the reason why we kind of hit the gas pedal as hard as we have to get the studio turned over in as little time as we have. It's such a need, especially coming into the spring and stuff where people are getting out of the house and kind of seeing what's out there and getting to get active again. It's crucial. Yeah,
and there's no limit to sponsors and wealth that you can acquire. There's not like a set amount in our area that everybody's like fighting for. If you can build your brand up, your podcast, whatever it is, your content, you can find the sponsors that fit your niche and not have to worry about any sort of competition.
Right. And it doesn't even have to be in our area. That's a beautiful thing, right? Once you put it digitally, you can market it anywhere. That's online orders. If you have product to sell, if you have locations, you know what I mean? You can broadcast it out nationwide and having a completely different market than what you have here. Not to mention getting your name locally, where people come in and you have those storefront options. Yes. The amount of marketing and stuff that you can do from other areas that would want to attach to you, you know what I mean? The affiliate marketing, like if you're an insurance agency or if you're a real estate agent or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. People are going to come to you because they know you and you can have that following, and you don't have that with traditional marketing tactics.
And it's a good note to for listeners to know, and people that are interested in producing something, the whole studio is movable. Yeah. The whole studio furniture is combinable. Cameras, we have a multicam system that'll switch in between that I'm doing right now. Yeah. And engineer on staff. I mean, everything will look different because you'll have podcasts now that are like conference, but I think 90% of podcasts now are somebody sitting in a chair acting like they're talking to somebody, acting like they're a millionaire to buy somebody's course. That's all they're doing, just sitting there with no knowledge. But we can market everything. We have all the angles, we have all the sets.
It's 100% customizable. If you want to look different than the other people that filmed before you, we have the option, we have the space, and we can make you stand out your way, and that's the beautiful part.
Great location too.
Yeah.
Like in the grand scheme of like the whole Ohio Valley,
Mm-hmm.
that Bridgeport building is I couldn't think of a more convenient
Oh,
location. Like
yeah.
if it's not in the St. Clairsville or the Wheelings, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like that kind of epicenter where you got people from Weirton that want to come down, or if you're coming from Moundsville, like I couldn't have picked a
Yeah.
better spot to do this.
Mm-hmm. And it's a space, the size, it's perfect for the vision.
Parking, like you can bring people. There's bathrooms to get ready in there. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, anything that you could need, if it's not already there, it could be facilitated.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it.
You got one of the greatest meetup spots in the valley, Sunny Boy,
Yeah,
a couple of stores down.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Essentially 2 minutes off the interstate from every direction.
Yeah.
And then we're also, with the studio side of it, we're also building the green room side of it too, to where if you are bringing in new guests and new people and people that you don't really have a connection with, like you could sit for
Yeah.
15, 20 minutes and really get a vibe before you go in and film. So that way you are on point when you're in and you're marketing this.
Yeah.
And you know exactly what you want to do, exactly how you want to hit it. You know what I mean? There is no place in the area that has that. There's no place in the area that can do that. And we're going to be the first of our kind. So state of the art, and we're putting no expense like
Right.
spared. Like we're making sure that this is going to be done the right way.
Mm-hmm. And it takes the whole stress of editing, filming, everything's off. You can just sit down, talk about what you're passionate about, reach out to people, bring in guests.
It's a plug and play.
Yeah. Let me be your
Just show
Jamie.
up and-
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it. And like I said, completely customizable the way you want to be looked at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not, you don't have to fit a mold for something else. You can come in and especially like if you're very public, like most like real estate agents is the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Like a real estate agent can come in and do one single session and cut up 15-second intervals out of that one session and have enough marketing for them to put on Twitter, X or whatever it's called now, Instagram, Facebook Reels, Facebook
TikTok.
marketing, TikTok,
Your
you know what I mean? And you would have enough marketing for an entire month that you could put out 3, 4, 5 different things each week for an entire month. Put your name out there where you don't have that. You know what I mean? And instead of you trying to figure out, hey, how do I do this filming next, or how do I do that? It's all done for you. All you need to do is show up, have an idea of, hey, this is how I want to be presented, and you're done. That's 100%.
So we did just that with there's an athletic trainer that I met, Antonio Williams. He's been on the show. He runs Next Level Athletic Training in Pittsburgh, and he wants to come down to make some content. And, for him to make the trip, I said, when you come down, let's plan everything to where you have months and months of content for one visit. So you're not coming down for one 30-minute interview, you leave, and that's the only sort of content you come out. And I said, let's get you in different little sets, different angles, so you can do the one-off like interviews where think of like 10 questions that somebody might ask you about fitness and just act like you're answering the question to anybody.
Sure.
Just different things like that to put your content out for months and months, which is one visit to, down in Bridgeport. So for your show, Road to Riches, what is your what's it looked like to you in your head, and what's your plan with it? And
So the Road to Riches podcast is probably going to be a little bit heavier real estate involved because that's what we do at Rich Investments Group. However, it's not limited to that. There are so many different ways for people to be self-sufficient and start their own businesses. I'm interested in what you're doing that's different. I'm interested in if you are the greatest person at building out a laundromat and getting them started or whatever. Like, how did you do it? Like, I want my viewers and my listeners for that podcast to be able to come in and be like, oh, so all I need to do is A, B, and C, and I could start that kind of a business. That makes total sense because people have a fear of missing out because they don't know what they don't know. So bringing other people on, bringing other guests on, having those connections with, hey, if you're a specialist in music, if you're a specialist in insurance agencies, like what is it that you're best at to be able to do it? And of course, we can relate to people that want to get into real estate because, that's what we do. Like we're probably the cream of the crop, probably the top 1% of what we do in this area. So we can absolutely help any facet of that. If they wanted to be an agent, we have top tier agencies. We're partnering with Remax Broadwater, and their team of agents are just superb. I could get Travis in and have him on there to explain as the broker of that, like what they do differently to be like the best agents and the most compliant to do that. If you wanted to learn how to do flips, we could bring in tilted toilet. We could bring in, and show you how to do that and show you what it looks like, because a lot of people don't know like really what goes into a flip start to finish. Like, how do they get the deals? How do they get the money? How do they do all of this stuff? If you want to figure out how you can house hack and buy a duplex to where you can live in one side and then rent out the other and have no money out of your pocket. You know what I mean? We have U.S. bank representatives that can come in and show you how they have grants and things like that you can have $25,000 in free money to get into something to where you can essentially start building a portfolio with no money out of your pocket. You know what I mean? Like, we know those things and we have those guests that we can do, but I'm also super interested in bringing people in about stuff we don't know about. Things that somebody would be interested in doing outside of real estate that, hey, I can learn something from everybody, and I could pick it up, and maybe there's a crossover. Maybe how you started that business is, hey, I could start this one very similar because I learned things that I didn't know before. So that's really where I want to go with it, and that's what I want to do and build it out. And I think there's a huge vacuum with that as well. Information is the greatest thing in the world.
And I told him I wanted to, when somebody comes in as comfortable as they are or aren't, like, I would want to dive into their business as well. Like, this is also what I do of like, what's the entity structure? Like, do you have a set of books? Like, the financial side of it. So like, some people aren't going to be comfortable talking about that because they don't really have it dialed in.
Right.
But I also want it to be like, it's a safe space to where, like, if you're comfortable talking about it, like, you're actually going to get free financial and tax advice on the podcast, and like that's kind of another value add for somebody to come in and want to shoot at RIG Studios, because you're going to be able to talk about your business. But if you have questions about like, should I have a trust? Should I, like, how should I structure this business from a bookkeeping perspective? Like, and
there's sure to be a percentage of people that are in the same situation that are listening to it, that.
Oh yeah, if somebody has a question, I mean, there's hundreds of other people that have that same thing. So that's another value add that I'm really excited about from a helping perspective.
And the temperatures are slowly rising, folks. It's that time of year for me where I realize summer is just around the corner and it's time to cut that extra winter poundage. This year I'm supplementing myself on this task at Martins Ferry Nutrition. It's all about what you put into your body first, people. And if you're not willing to sacrifice flavor for function, check out Martins Ferry Nutrition. Here's some of the options they have for summer: energy drink slushies, freshly squeezed lemonades and smoothies, and loaded teas with natural caffeine for your pre-workout. And afterwards, protein bowls, shakes, and parfaits. These are real supplements. 200 calories, 15 grams of protein, and 21 essential vitamins and minerals. So many things down there that are delicious and beneficial to you. And if you're not on the caffeine kick, they have non-caffeinated teas with collagen and H3O for hydration. Located at 305 South 4th Street down in the square. Go check them out today. You see, like, when you look through like the podcasts that deal with real estate development, most of them, they're talking like we are, but they're hitting each other with terms, real fast terms, to where it's almost like a foreign language, and then they act like you need to have this seminar or you have to buy our course to know like what these terms we're talking about. It's like a club that you're not in yet.
Yeah.
But from what way we're talking, the way you do your seminars, there's no competition in giving information for free to people to learn what.
And a lot of our marketing and stuff, when we do our podcasts and stuff together, both Jordan being from the tax side of it and me being from the real estate side of it, like, we kind of are the best of both worlds. Like, both of us are going to be doing these free seminars because we have that podcast that, hey, if you're interested, we can only talk so much on a 1-hour podcast about the finer details of it. But if you're interested in it and you want to learn more about it, like, we're going to be doing free seminars on both sides of this. Hey, you want to come out and learn about tax strategy, you want to come out and learn about how you're going to structure your LLC or your S Corp or whatever it is. Hey, one day this month, Jordan's going to have this seminar at this location, free of charge. Show up, talk to us, get your questions answered. Doesn't cost you anything because we want to be able to build people up. You know what I mean? I think that's that's a huge vacuum that people that I've seen in the Valley don't really have. They're more cutthroat. Like I can't tell my secrets because then they're going to be
Right,
competition, and we are absolutely about collaboration. Like there's no competition with us.
It's an abundance mindset.
Yes,
I think more than anything, that's. I mean, you've always had that.
Always.
And I think that I've developed a little bit more of that being around you, because even like when I was doing the taxes in Arizona, like I really didn't want to like collaborate with like a local tax firm, because I'm like, I don't necessarily know that they know like the cost segs 1031, like all that kind of stuff. But after working with Eric and just, I think developing a little bit more from a business perspective, the abundance mindset, I think me personally has like elevated my business acumen per se, because when you kind of operate on that level, it almost seems like more things just come to you more naturally when you just give for free and not expect anything in return, just for the fact of like you're helping somebody. It always seems like in one way or another it comes back to help.
It brings your entire business better. You know what I mean? If you have another business that come in and they start a real estate business and they're doing flips and they're bettering those neighborhoods you're buying in as well, that brings the values of the entire neighborhood up. So when I flip my next house there, hey, I'm going to make more money in that neighborhood because I taught you how to do this well, and you brought that, like, rising tide raises all ships. You know what I mean? And like, it's not competition. There's tons of opportunity out there for people that are willing to do the work to get into it. And if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to learn and drive and stuff like that, like, we will always be there to help you and help you grow and help you build out. You know what I mean? And that's something that I don't think anybody else in this area does either. So I'm super excited about having a wider net to be able to cast out with the podcast, with the studio to kind of facilitate it as well.
And it's so commendable that like you're sticking to the Ohio Valley. And I know, like we said yesterday, it's like if something happens and you make a big deal or you screw someone over with a deal, like you have to see them at the grocery store.
Yeah.
So it's not like this like company from, like, say, like California or something looking at the Ohio Valley and saying, let's see how many houses we can flip for profit. We're actually adding value to the communities around us. If you look at the houses that you flip, I mean, these are houses that haven't had any love to them in
30 years.
30 years. I remember that one I walked in was it McMeccan, and I was like, I need to clear this before I get my camera out.
I mean, the value add and everything that we're bringing in is one side of it, but at the same time, we have to perform as ethically as possible. Like we can't miss. And a lot of times it's to our detriment. You know what I mean? Like we will do deals and we will follow through with things that after we walked it and we've seen it and stuff like that, it's probably not the best for our business to do it. But our reputation of, hey, they said they were going to do A, B, and C. If we don't do A, B, and C, you're going to have that backlash. You're going to have that, you know what I mean? So our reputation is at the foremost, us operating ethically and making sure that we're setting the standard for people to come in and do it the same way that we're doing it is absolutely like one of our top goals and our core values as a company. So the other side of it is to touch back what you were talking about, these other gurus and podcasters and stuff like that. Like what they really like to do is they like to put out all of the best stuff, all of the great things. Yeah, I drive a Bentley and I have a G6 and I have all of this. You can have this too. Come to my seminar. They don't ever show you the bad side of it. You know what I mean? We're not an overnight success. Like we stumbled and struggled and did for the first 2 years probably. To where
still learning. That's the thing. Like we do well, but we're still like, I mean, I can speak for myself. Like, there's ones where, like, you definitely shouldn't have done
that. Well, we won't do it again. But you know, just pick ourselves up and keep running with it. Like, we're gonna be open books. You know what I mean? We're gonna tell you the good with the bad. We're gonna tell you the problems we had, so that way you don't have those problems. And a lot of those experts, a lot of those podcasts that are putting this content out and stuff like that. Aren't sharing that. You know what I mean? So I think that's also something that's going to set us apart, make us a lot more, you know, real. A lot more.
It goes back to that. You can't shame me as much as I can shame you.
Yeah, we're our biggest critics for sure.
You can't tell anything that the mirror hasn't told me this morning.
You ain't lying.
So, but yeah, I think and then a lot of the municipalities in the area are really looking at a way that they can change as well.
Yeah.
I think with everything, I know the city of Wheeling itself has spent hundreds of millions of dollars in revitalizing their city, their storefronts, and hoping to have somebody that can come in and invest in it. I think we're probably one of the people that can come in and fit that bill. You know what I mean? Not only fit the bill for coming in and revitalizing things, but also highlight what they've done and highlight the business that are coming in to make it actually catch on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know a lot of the little communities in the area are following suit and doing a lot of the same things. So I think it runs hand in hand with what we're bringing in, and hopefully we can have good relationships with them as well, to where everybody wins.
You said you did a drive through Wheeling. Was it yesterday? You saw the opening up downtown.
Pleasantly surprised with
Yeah.
even just like the cleanliness of it, and we were talking it might be even cleaner when it gets the spring and the summer, but yeah, I came off the bridge on that exit, and then I saw some of the new builds, and I'm like, that is actually you hear about it, you see the stuff on Facebook and some of the pictures, but actually driving through and seeing it, it's like, this is like a nice little pop in downtown to drive through. So it's really cool to see that.
And if you look at what they've done just in the last year, I think Capitol Theaters has really gone above and beyond to get good quality people to come into it. I mean, you see a lot of national names, national brands, comedians, musicians, things like that coming in.
And the city's kind of coordinating too, because I remember when Alice Cooper was at the arena, I remember the Capitol had the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and then we did like an Alice Cooper pre-show down the waterfront. So it's like you can see how the whole city can open up for one day for a certain theme.
Waterfront Cafe down there with their hall, their stage, and the restaurants that are in there. Like, they didn't have that a year ago. Like that's huge. It's a great addition. What the West Banco Arena's done, bringing in the Wheeling Miners, and the season they had was phenomenal. Like, that was right out of the box, and nobody really thought that the first season and having an arena football team in Wheeling, that they were going to have those successes and have the buzz that they had. You know what I mean? Like, there are so many good things that are going. Just need to highlight it and jump on and make sure everybody else knows it as well. So
one thing I wanted to kind of touch base on before we ended it was so when we're talking about flips, and I learned a lot of this through Ben, is so say if like we have a scenario where I would inherit a house that I just don't want to work on, I want to get taken off my hands. Like, what could you guys share what you could offer me as far as the other option of me renovating this house and trying to flip it? What can you guys do, and what can you guys offer to somebody that wants to get this house off their hands, or they want to get some money for it and not have to worry about it?
I was gonna give the 10,000 foot, and then you can give the details with the specialized. I was thinking you can go in the novations and all that.
So I'm a warm lead right now. Let's
sure. Okay. So you're wanting to flip.
Yeah. So my great aunt just passed, left me this house. It's going to take me $60,000 that I don't want to spend, time that I don't want to put in to try to make a profit off of this. What can you guys do for me so I can just pack my stuff up and move on?
So we do cash offers. It's quick, painless, easy. Leave it as is. That I think that's kind of our benefit, as opposed to doing the market. Like, you don't clean it, you don't have to move anything out of it. It's as is. It's cash. Typically we 21 days or less. It's really just for the paperwork. We do everything by the book on the paperwork, even if it is like a quick sale. Where we're doing the title searches, we're doing all that kind of stuff. That's like the easy way of if somebody wants to sell. But if you did want to do that, I mean, there's things like DSCR loans that you can look into to potentially get a loan to you fix it up, for you to rehab it and then sell it on the market to try to maximize that value. And I always, when I do talk to sellers, it's always like, what is the time versus value? Are you willing to go through this process for the next 6, 7, 8 months to potentially make another 20 grand on the back end, or do you just want a very quick, easy, like, give me cash, get this headache off my hands, and then now essentially it's like you guys' problem.
Right,
So
yeah.
that's really the easiest way, and I think that is what kind of draws people to us.
Yeah.
Is, we it's like you just leave the keys.
Yeah.
Like if you're detached from the home and you just want cash so you can move on, we do quick closes. So we make that super easy. But then there's also ways that he's probably forgotten more than I've ever known of, like, the creative ways to do things. So he's definitely the one to go in, like, the specifics, and some of these creative ways actually helps the seller significantly more. So some people say, like, oh, I just want cash because it's easy. That might not be what's best for your pocket in the long term.
Right.
But yeah, he can definitely go into the details of.
So in this scenario, your aunt passed away. God rest her soul. I'm sorry for your loss. You inherited this property. The very first thing we need to make sure that goes through probate. And if you're not familiar with that, we know several probate attorneys that we can recommend, and we can help you guys do that. So I think the thing that sets us apart from anybody else is we're helping you. We're not just buying property for profit. We solve problems. We solve problems through real estate, and that's our number one goal. Like, if we make money on it, great. If we can continue to grow the business, great. Like, you're at this problem, you're reaching out, you're at your wits end, you don't know how to do next. We have every resource at our disposal to make sure that we're going to solve your problem. And work with you to figure out what exactly you want to solve that problem. Like Jordan said, if you wouldn't want just, hey, quick cash right now because times are tough and I just would like to have money in my pocket, we can facilitate. If you want something to where you want security and try to get the maximum value out of the property, so that way you don't necessarily need the money right now, but you want to make sure that your aunt leaving you that house, you can get every benefit you can out of it. We have creative ways that we can get in, and probably a dozen different ways that we can make sure that you're squeezing every ounce of value out of it possible. If you're wanting to put it on the market and try to get it going, we have great relationships with Remax Broadwater, like I said, to where we have the best agents to make sure that they're going to come in, they're going to tell you what it's worth, the best you can get, and they are the most active agents in the market to make sure that they're getting your price the way you want it, and it's a seamless transition. So it depends on you, on what we can do for you. You know what I mean? The storage property that you had mentioned, that is a great almost case study for that. We talked to the lady. She had got some of our marketing material. She moved out of state. She works at a college about 2 hours away. And she had this house, and she had a cousin or a niece or somebody living there. And they have absolutely tore this place apart. You know what I mean? And she's paying the mortgage. The seller is paying the mortgage on it for her niece to tear it up and take issue with it, right? To the point to where I think her fiance was like selling drugs out of the house. You know what I mean? It was just a really, really bad scenario. And the seller had a lot of liability because she was still the owner over that. You know what I mean?
And I remember meeting with her. She was at her wit's end. She just needed some solutions to her problem. She
needed a savior. She needed somebody to get her out of that nightmare.
She wasn't looking for like a little bit of cash. She was looking like, who can help me get out of this?
So we went in, and the condition of the property and the way it was sitting was, I think when we did our analysis and everything like that, it was probably $80,000 is what we could give comfortably to be able to help her out. And she's like, well, I know it's worth more than that. I paid more than that. You know what I mean? My mortgage for that is more than that right now. So like, that just doesn't make sense for me. So I said, well, what do you want out of this? And she said, if I can get my mortgage paid off, and I have 2 kids that are just getting out of college and they have student loans, and I can have enough money to essentially pay their student loans off to where they're not bogged down for their adult life, and I can set them up for success right out of the gate. If I could have that much money after it's all said and done, I don't need it all right now. The student loans aren't starting to get paid back until August, September. But if I could have that kind of money out of that house, that's all I want. And it turned out to be, I think, $125,000. So we structured a deal creatively to where we stepped in, we took over the responsibility of paying the mortgage payment. So now she saves almost $600 a month that she wasn't paying because we're paying the mortgage now.
Yeah.
We're going in and we're rebuilding this property to where it should be market ready, like turnkey, where the niece was tearing it apart. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We're adding so much value into that to where, and I think we have another 2 weeks with this property that we're doing the flip on. By the end of the next 2 weeks, it's going to hit the market and sell. And when it does, she gets the mortgage paid off.
Yep.
She's going to get the money she needs to pay her kids' student loans off. She is so far like in a good position because we could structure it that way.
Yeah.
And then we took all of the risk about doing the renovations and stuff like that to where we're going to make profit off it as well, but it's a win-win for everybody across the board.
And somebody's going to go into a beautiful house.
And somebody-
in that area. It was
Three people win in this whole scenario.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place up in Storage.
And most houses in that neighborhood aren't available. Like when
Right.
people move there, it's in one of the nicest areas in Wheeling. Those properties don't come available. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's set back in a really secluded area, dead end street. There's woods and everything around you to where you're technically in town.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know it if you go out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You can walk out your front porch and think you're the king of Wheeling. Or you
Yeah.
look out and you see that the whole city
It is a beautiful view.
You know what I mean? So we were able to step in and do things that most investors
Right.
don't do in this area. You know what I mean? Like we specialize in solving problems. Like we use it by doing it in real estate, but you know what I mean? And the tax benefits and everything on the backside of it, like we have an expert in our midst that, you know what I mean? Somebody's like, man, I really don't want to pay these capital gains because I don't live there anymore. Like, perfect. I've got Jessica to talk to help you solve that problem too, to where you're going to get all of your problems solved. You're going to get the maximum value you can out of it. And you're also going to be able to keep most of it in your pocket because we can offer every resource possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not, nobody else does that.
Like I've talked to sellers before where, they're a little bit older and they're like, there's no way I'm going to live another 20 years. So like, I can't spread it out that long. And then I like, well, what is your plan? What do you want to do? Well, I want to leave money to my grandkids. Well, the first thing I say is, do you have a trust?
Yeah.
Well, no, I've heard of it, but I know I should probably get one. That's the first thing. Like we're going to talk about that, why you need a trust and how that all kind of trickles down. That has nothing to do really with the real estate deal, but it's like that's the first box that they need checked to satisfy what they just told me was their why of like the sale. So you almost like reverse engineer your way into getting the actual conversation you want, but you have to figure out like what their why is, what they need. So, I mean, we've gone into the trust and then they're like, well, I need to make sure that there's enough money for them. Like I don't want to sell it for cash because I know that it's more like the sort situation. Perfect. We're going to funnel those payments to the trust, and then whatever that term is that we agree upon, that same money is in that trust. So when you sell that way, you're basically locking in a certain price to where I always tell people you're changing your house into a retirement account. As a traditional retirement account, you hope that it grows, 9% to get to a certain level that then your family has that. The way that we structure this is you're getting that value that you want. So no matter if the market's up, down, whatever, like you've locked in that amount of money for your family when you're gone.
Nice.
So that checks that box for them. And then when you kind of explain the mechanics of how that all works, it's like you're thinking you want all the money up front to put it in a trust, but if you want all the money up front and it was a investment property, you're paying the tax on that. Why don't you stretch it out so your only tax obligation is the interest that you're getting, which that's another added benefit. But you're only paying tax on the interest. All that else is principal that is spread out over X number of years, and you're not paying the capital gains on it. So
you find out the why, and then you can facilitate.
That's the most important thing. Like Eric said, solving the problem. Like, what is your main problem that you're trying to solve? Especially when you're dealing with older people, like anybody, they want to make sure that their family's protected. They want to leave a legacy. They want to be, gone and looking over and knowing that, they've maximized their grandkids' life because they have, a trust fund set up for them. So
And the other side of it is, if you can do that without coming through Rich Investments Group, absolutely. You can go and schedule an appointment with a trust attorney. They're going to charge you $200 for that appointment.
Yeah,
and
probably
then
right what he said just now was probably $200. Right
yeah.
there, yeah.
And then they're going to advise you, you should probably do this and this, and then it's up for you to go and run and do all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then when you want to sell the house, then you have to go find a real estate agent. They're going to charge you 6% commission. And then you're going to go back and pay the trust attorney, was it $1,000 now to set up the trust?
About 2,500.
2,500.
Well, by us 2,500. Probably 1,000.
And you know what I mean? Yeah. So you're spinning all of these wheels and you're having to do all this legwork and you're having to put all of this money out before you ever start getting to the why I need this.
Yeah.
Whereas you come to us, it's all in house. It's all part of our deal on how we're helping you out of your situation. You know what I mean? It's what sets us apart. And it truly is us helping people. Like we don't set out to make.
And I'm kind of a nerd. I like talking about that stuff. Like I was talking to a seller over the weekend, and she's like, "You kind of light up when you talk about this stuff." And I'm like, "It is weird, but it's like a puzzle piece that you puzzle piece and a problem that you want to solve. That like Eric said, this is kind of what I do on the day to day. So I like being able to give people a whole nother avenue that they didn't even know existed, and then try to be able to explain it in layman's terms, so you're not talking up here and it's like they're nodding your head and you can just tell that they're not getting it. So I do like the explanation part, to know when we get off the phone or we get out of that meeting, like you do understand what your next steps should be. That's kind of, I always like to leave those meetings. It's like, all right, what's your next step? What's your homework? And if they don't know exactly what to say, then we just kind of go back over it and make sure that they do know what that next step is.
And RIG Studios, if you're listening here and hearing the value of we just had, like, 4 or 5 like hypothetical situations. We talked about solutions out of it in terms, I mean, once Road to Riches gets going, you have episodes that are themed. We talk about certain things, like a lot of knowledge to learn. A lot
People
of knowledge.
That want to sell their businesses, that's a big thing going on now. It's people that are getting a little bit older that they're like, maybe I don't want to go into this next season of whatever it is. Like, we can help with that. We can help structure what's the best way to sell that business. Is it a cash deal? Is it a seller finance deal? Like, what's your why in selling that business? So I'm excited to, hopefully get people on the podcast that want to do that. Yeah. And we can kind of chop it up and talk about, what they want on the actual episode itself.
Yeah.
So
we talked about that before, like the 15 minutes you have, like, as you're setting up, where you have an opportunity, say if somebody comes in from the business world that you doesn't really know you, that 15 minutes where you can start throwing terms out to, like, lower their guard for them to understand, okay, they're in the same world as me. Same thing with, like, musicians. Sometimes I'll have guests come in, never heard of what I did, but when I start asking, like, how do you like your monitor mixes when you're on stage and stuff, it gets you that validity, like, okay, he does this too, and then the rest of the podcast, once it starts, so it's more organic. And
to Jordan's point, the business and stuff like that, we had a conversation with a gentleman the other day. He has a HVAC company that he's done for 35 years. Yeah. And he owns the company. He's built it up, and it's very, very reputable. It's very, very successful, but none of his kids want anything to do with it. So what do you do at that point? Do you just shut it down and give 35 years of your life up and go on? Or do you come in and talk with us? And, we'll may not be a buyer for your business, but we definitely know people that are in that space. We definitely know ways that we can help you get out of it and transition away. Like there's unlimited potential with what we're doing in the studio and what people could do for themselves and better their situations.
You know what we need to do is get one of those shows started. Did you see the financial audits that are getting popular? You'll take, like, a guy that has, like, 50 OnlyFans subscriptions and stuff, and they sit you down and you have to go over finance with them and try to help them. And
I've seen those podcasts. I do like those. I think that would be
you can tell they pick and choose, like, who can we find that is just in the worst shape and doesn't want to get better. And
how much debt do you have? Let's go over it.
That's all you read. As soon as I get in there and some guy has like 10 subscriptions to Feet Finder 55 and I have to see him in Kroger's the next day, like, I'm out.
Hey, no grudge. Everybody has their vices. It's between you and I. Whatever your flavor is, I'm just here to help.
We're just here to help it facilitate it financially. We'll get it moving.
Yeah. How's it a business deduction? Is it an ordinary and necessary expense to operate a business?
All right, guys. The next Next podcast we'll be sharing will be in the new studios.
Yep.
Changing of the guard.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to this
What
one.
a run in this. Like,
What a run. 1 2-year run.
Man, the interviews that you've had, the people that you've had on here, like how much I've learned from the people that you've had on here.
The reactions I gotten from my wife, like, hey, we need to clean the house because we got an NFL player coming later on. And pictures of the panic and the moths coming out.
Too funny.
Yeah.
Too funny. No, I'm excited for this next chapter.
Yeah.
I tell you this all the time, but every time I see it, I'm so appreciative. I know we
Appreciate
are.
you guys too.
It's really, really cool to kind of work in tandem with a friend, and then operate business together, and what we're all gonna accomplish together is gonna be really fun.
They're just everybody's a role filler, and they're experts at their craft, and
Yep.
Goes back to collaboration, man.
Yeah.
Like, what are you an expert back at, and like, how can we help you achieve it? You know what I mean? So,
Road to Riches. Look out for it. First episode should be coming out a week or two.
and next week, yeah.
All right, Studios. Thanks for tuning in, guys.